The Galactic Council had long viewed the human race as insignificant and primitive. For centuries, the mighty coalition of alien civilizations had overlooked the small blue planet called Earth, dismissing its inhabitants as little more than savage, uncivilized creatures. But that was all about to change. It began with a diplomatic mission, a routine attempt by the Council to bring Earth into their fold and establish a new outpost in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. The human leaders, unaware of the true intentions behind the Council's overtures, cautiously welcomed the alien envoys, hoping to forge an advantageous alliance. However, the Galactic Council had no interest in genuine partnership. Their true aim was to subjugate the humans, stripping them of their resources and relegating them to the status of a vassal state. As the negotiations dragged on, the Council's representatives grew increasingly impatient, finally revealing their demands for absolute submission. The human leaders, taken aback by the Council's blatant aggression, refused to capitulate. They stood their ground, adamantly rejecting the terms and declaring their right to self-determination. Outraged by this defiance, the Council's representatives issued an ultimatum: surrender or face the full might of the galactic military. News of the Council's threat quickly spread across the globe, igniting a wave of patriotism and determination among the human populace. For too long, they had been dismissed and underestimated by the arrogant alien civilizations that populated the stars. But now, with their very survival at stake, the people of Earth rallied together, ready to defend their homeworld at all costs. As the Council's warships began to amass near Earth's orbit, the human military sprang into action, mobilizing its forces and rapidly deploying defensive systems. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, drawing on the full breadth of human ingenuity to devise new technologies and strategies that could counter the Council's superior firepower. At the center of this frantic effort stood a young, brilliant scientist named Protagonist's Name. Born and raised on Earth, Protagonist's Name had spent years studying the intricacies of both human and alien technology, driven by a deep fascination with the wonders of the cosmos. Now, with the fate of their world hanging in the balance, Protagonist's Name found themselves thrust into the spotlight, their expertise and innovative thinking becoming the linchpin of humanity's desperate struggle for survival. Under the guidance of seasoned military commanders, Protagonist's Name and their team worked tirelessly, pouring their hearts and souls into the development of a revolutionary new weapon system. This cutting-edge technology, they hoped, would level the playing field against the Galactic Council's vast armada of advanced warships. As the final preparations were made and the human fleet readied itself for the impending clash, a palpable sense of anxiety and uncertainty gripped the global population. Would their efforts be enough to withstand the onslaught of the Galactic Council's forces, or were they doomed to suffer the same fate as countless other civilizations that had dared to defy the might of the ancient alien empire? The answer would soon be revealed, as the skies above Earth were set to erupt in a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. For the first time in their history, the humans were about to show the Galactic Council the true extent of their hidden strength, a strength that would either secure their freedom or seal their ultimate downfall. As the Galactic Council's warships loomed ever closer to Earth, the human military leadership knew they needed to act fast. The stakes had never been higher, and they could not afford to lose. Amidst the growing crisis, a young scientist named Protagonist's Name emerged as an unlikely hero. Protagonist's Name had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the cosmos, spending countless hours poring over data and schematics related to both human and alien technologies. Their deep understanding of these complex systems would prove to be humanity's best chance at developing a weapon capable of challenging the Galactic Council's superior firepower. Recruited by the military, Protagonist's Name was tasked with leading a team of the brightest minds Earth had to offer. Together, they would work around the clock to create a revolutionary new device that could turn the tide of the impending battle. Yet, despite their technical prowess, Protagonist's Name could not help but feel the immense weight of responsibility resting on their shoulders. They knew that the success or failure of this project would determine the fate of the entire human race. The prospect of failure was a constant, nagging fear that crept into their thoughts, keeping them awake at night. As the deadline set by the Galactic Council drew nearer, the pressure mounted. Protagonists' name and their team pushed themselves to the brink, driven by a sense of desperation and a burning desire to protect their home. The long hours and intense workload took a toll, both physically and mentally, but they refused to give up. Doubts and insecurities began to plague Protagonists' name, causing them to question whether they truly had what it took to lead this crucial endeavor. Would their efforts be enough to save humanity from the looming threat of subjugation or annihilation? The weight of the world seemed to rest squarely on their shoulders, and they feared that they might not be able to bear the burden. Yet, even as Protagonists' name grappled with their own self-doubt, the human spirit of resilience and determination began to shine through. The military commanders, impressed by Protagonists' name, technical prowess, and innovative thinking, rallied behind them, offering their unwavering support and guidance. Slowly but surely, the revolutionary weapon system began to take shape, a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the human race. Protagonists' name found themselves at the center of this momentous effort, their once reluctant leadership transforming into a beacon of hope for the entire planet. As the final preparations were made and the human fleet readied itself for the impending clash, Protagonists' name steeled their resolve, channeling their fears into a fierce determination to protect their home and their species. They knew that the fate of humanity rested squarely on their shoulders, and they would not falter, not when so much was at stake. In the moments before the battle, Protagonists' name stood tall, their eyes filled with a newfound confidence and purpose. They had come a long way from the reluctant hero who had once doubted their own abilities. Now, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance, Protagonists' name was ready to lead humanity's charge against the Galactic Council's formidable forces, determined to prove that the human spirit could not be broken. The Galactic Council, growing increasingly frustrated by humanity's stubborn resistance, decided to take a drastic measure. They issued a chilling ultimatum to the human leadership: surrender unconditionally or face total annihilation. The news of the Council's ultimatum sent shockwaves through the global population. For many, the choice seemed clear: give in to the demands of the superior alien force and accept a life of subjugation, or continue the fight and risk complete destruction. The human leaders, led by a pragmatic and strategic military commander, found themselves torn between these two equally daunting prospects. As the deadline for the Council's ultimatum loomed, the pressure mounted. Protagonists' name and their team worked tirelessly to complete the revolutionary new weapon system, aware that it represented humanity's last hope for survival. The fate of their entire species rested on their shoulders, and they could not afford to fail. Tensions within the human population began to rise as the debate over the proper course of action intensified. Some advocated for a diplomatic solution, arguing that surrender was the only way to avoid total annihilation. They pleaded for the leaders to see reason and capitulate to the Council's demands, believing that a life under alien rule was better than no life at all. However, others vehemently opposed this idea, calling for an all-out fight for freedom. They rallied the people, stirring up a fervent patriotism and a refusal to bow down to the Galactic Council's tyranny. These proponents of resistance believed that humanity possessed the strength and the ingenuity to overcome the alien invaders, and they were willing to risk everything to defend their way of life. As the debate raged on, Protagonists' name found themselves caught in the middle, torn between their role as a scientist tasked with developing the crucial weapon and their growing sense of moral obligation to the people of Earth. They understood the gravity of the situation, the high stakes that hung in the balance, and the immense responsibility that had been thrust upon them. Time was running out, and the human leadership knew they had to make a decision, one that would define the course of their civilization for generations to come. The Galactic Council's ultimatum had put them in an impossible position, forcing them to weigh the cost of continued defiance against the prospect of subjugation under alien rule. Protagonists' name, their mind racing with the weight of the decision, worked tirelessly to complete the weapons system, knowing that its success or failure could mean the difference between freedom and enslavement for their entire species. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the entire world watched with bated breath, waiting to see which path the human leaders would choose. As the deadline approached, the tension reached a fever pitch. The human population, divided and anxious, looked to their leaders for guidance, praying that they would find the courage and the wisdom to navigate this unprecedented crisis. The future of Earth hung in the balance, and the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty. As the Galactic Council's ultimatum drew to a close, the human military leadership unveiled a closely guarded secret project: the development of a formidable human fleet, equipped with a revolutionary new weapon system designed by protagonists' name and their team. The unveiling of this advanced fleet stunned not only the global population, but also the Galactic Council itself. For years, the Council had dismissed humanity's technological capabilities, assuming that the humans were no match for their vast array of sophisticated warships and weaponry. But now, faced with the undeniable power of the human fleet, they were forced to reconsider their long-held beliefs. Protagonist's name, the once reluctant hero, now stood at the helm of this impressive force, their expertise and innovative thinking having played a crucial role in its creation. The weight of this responsibility weighed heavily on their shoulders as they grappled with the moral implications of unleashing such destructive power. The new weapon system, a culmination of humanity's brightest minds and most advanced engineering, was a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the human race. It promised to level the playing field against the Galactic Council's superior firepower, offering a glimmer of hope in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As the human fleet readied itself for the impending clash, the global population watched with a mixture of pride, hope, and trepidation. They knew that the fate of their world hung in the balance, and the outcome of this battle would determine whether they would live as free beings or be subjected to the Galactic Council's tyrannical rule. Protagonists' name, acutely aware of the gravity of the situation, found themselves torn between the desire to protect their home and the fear of the consequences that could arise from unleashing such destructive might. They had worked tirelessly to create a weapon that could save humanity, but at what cost? The stage was set for a decisive showdown that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. The Galactic Council, once confident in its superiority, now faced an unfamiliar foe, a species that had refused to be cowed and had instead risen to the challenge with unparalleled ingenuity and determination. As the human fleet prepared to engage the Council's warships, a palpable sense of anticipation and dread filled the air. The outcome of this battle would not only determine the fate of Earth, but also challenge the long-held assumptions about the place of humanity in the grand scheme of the cosmos. Protagonist's name, their heart racing with a mixture of fear and resolve, stepped forward to lead the human fleet into the fray. They knew that the weight of the world rested on their shoulders, but they were determined to fight for the freedom and the future of their species, no matter the cost. The stage was set, and the battle lines had been drawn. The Galactic Council's warships and the human fleet, two vastly different philosophies and technological prowesses, were about to clash in a conflict that would reverberate throughout the galaxy. The moment of reckoning had arrived. The human fleet, led by Protagonist's name, engaged the Galactic Council's warships in a massive, high-stakes battle for the fate of Earth. As the two forces clashed in the vast expanse of space, the sheer power of the human fleet's revolutionary weapon system quickly became apparent. The advanced technology, developed by Protagonist's name and their team, demonstrated a level of firepower that shocked and overwhelmed the Council's forces. Protagonist's name, their mind racing with tactical calculations and split-second decisions, commanded the human fleet with a steadfast determination. They knew that the future of their species hung in the balance, and they were unwilling to back down in the face of the Galactic Council's aggression. The battle raged on, with both sides refusing to yield. The human fleet's superior maneuverability and the devastating impact of their new weapon system gradually began to turn the tide of the conflict. The Council's warships, once thought to be invincible, found themselves outmatched and outgunned by the sheer ingenuity and resilience of their human adversaries. As the battle intensified, protagonists' name grappled with the immense responsibility of leading the human forces. The weight of their decisions, the lives that hung in the balance, weighed heavily on their conscience. They knew that every move they made could mean the difference between victory and defeat, between freedom and subjugation. The human forces, inspired by the courage and leadership of protagonists' name, rallied against the alien invaders with a newfound fervor. They fought with a fierce determination, driven by the desire to protect their home and their way of life. The Galactic Council, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves facing an unexpected and formidable foe. The battle raged on, with both sides refusing to back down. The human fleet's precision strikes and strategic maneuvers slowly but surely chipped away at the Council's defenses, while the Council's warships continued to pour their firepower into the human forces. Protagonists' name, their eyes fixed on the tactical displays, made split-second decisions that turned the tide of the battle. They pushed the human fleet to the limits, unleashing the full capabilities of the revolutionary weapon system in a desperate bid to overcome the Council's numerical advantage. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the two sides clashed, neither willing to concede defeat. The very future of the human race was at stake, and protagonists' name knew that they could not afford to fail. As the battle raged on, the skies above Earth erupted in a dazzling display of light and sound, the clash of the two mighty forces echoing through the cosmos. The outcome of this titanic struggle would not only determine the survival of the human race, but also reshape the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Amid the chaos of the ongoing battle, a sudden and unexpected turn of events began to unfold. The human fleet, led by protagonists' name, managed to gain the upper hand against the Galactic Council's warships. Protagonists' name and their team made a decisive tactical maneuver, utilizing the full capabilities of the revolutionary weapon system to deliver a crippling blow to the Council's flagship. The alien vessel, once the centerpiece of the Council's formidable armada, found itself heavily damaged and struggling to maintain its position in the conflict. This unexpected development sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council's ranks. Their long-held assumptions about human technological capabilities were being shattered, and they found themselves scrambling to adapt to the rapidly changing circumstances. As the battle intensified, the human forces rallied against the alien invaders, inspired by the courage and leadership of protagonists' name. The young scientist, once burdened by self-doubt, now stood tall, their determination and strategic prowess guiding the human fleet to newfound successes. The tide of the battle began to shift, and the Galactic Council's warships found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned by the relentless onslaught of the human forces. The revolutionary weapon system, designed by protagonists' name and their team, proved to be a game-changer, decimating the Council's defenses and leaving their once mighty fleet in disarray. The human pilots, fueled by a newfound sense of purpose and the desire to protect their home, fought with a ferocity that the Galactic Council had never witnessed before. They executed daring maneuvers, exploited weaknesses in the Council's tactics, and utilized the innovative capabilities of the human fleet to full effect. Protagonists' name, their mind racing with tactical calculations, made split-second decisions that turned the tide of the battle in humanity's favor. They directed the human forces with a precision and composure that belied their earlier self-doubts, guiding them to a series of critical victories against the Galactic Council's warships. As the battle raged on, the Galactic Council's leadership found itself in a state of disarray. Their long-held beliefs about the inferiority of the human race were being shattered, and they struggled to devise a coherent strategy to counter the growing might of the human fleet. The realization dawned on the Council that their assumptions about human capabilities had been gravely mistaken. The humans, once thought to be primitive and insignificant, had emerged as a formidable force to be reckoned with, their ingenuity and determination proving to be the key to their survival. The battle continued to rage, with both sides refusing to surrender. The Galactic Council, faced with the prospect of a humiliating defeat, poured more of their resources into the conflict, desperate to turn the tide in their favor. But the human fleet, buoyed by their recent successes and the unwavering leadership of protagonist's name, refused to back down. As the clash of the two mighty forces echoed through the vastness of space, the future of humanity and the entire galactic order hung in the balance. The outcome of this pivotal battle would not only determine the fate of Earth, but also reshape the power dynamics within the Galactic Council itself. As the battle between the human fleet and the Galactic Council's warships raged on, a remarkable shift began to take place within the Council's leadership. The unexpected resilience and technological prowess of the human forces had thrown the Council into a state of disarray, shattering their long-held beliefs about the inferiority of the human race. Internal divisions and power struggles within the Council began to emerge as member civilizations started to question the wisdom of continuing the war against humanity. The realization dawned that the humans, once deemed insignificant, had the potential not only to defend their own world, but to reshape the entire galactic order. Sensing an opportunity, protagonist's name spearheaded a diplomatic initiative, reaching out to the Galactic Council in an effort to broker a ceasefire and open negotiations. The young scientist, once burdened by self-doubt, now wielded the respect and admiration of their fellow humans, their leadership and strategic acumen earning them a prominent role in the unfolding events. As the human fleet continued to inflict heavy losses on the Council's forces, the realization dawned that the tide of the battle had turned irrevocably. The Galactic Council, once so confident in their superior military might, now found themselves on the brink of a humiliating defeat. Divisions within the Council deepened, with some member civilizations advocating for a more conciliatory approach, while others remained steadfast in their desire to crush the human resistance. The stakes were high, and the future of the entire galactic community hung in the balance. Protagonist's name, recognizing the fragility of the Council's unity, seized the moment, leveraging their technical expertise and diplomatic skills to navigate the complex web of political maneuverings. They reached out to the various factions within the Council, appealing to their shared desire for stability and prosperity in the galaxy. Through a series of carefully orchestrated negotiations, protagonist's name managed to broker a tentative ceasefire, paving the way for direct talks between the human leadership and the Galactic Council. The stage was set for a historic confrontation, one that would determine the future relationship between humanity and the ancient alien alliance. As the negotiations progressed, the Galactic Council found itself on the defensive, forced to confront its own biases and misjudgments. The human fleet's continued success on the battlefield made it increasingly clear that the Council had underestimated the potential of the human race, and they were now compelled to acknowledge the vast capabilities and technological prowess that had been nurtured on the small blue planet called Earth. Protagonist's name, wielding the newfound respect and influence they had earned, advocated passionately for humanity's rightful place within the galactic community. They argued that the time had come for a new, more equitable relationship between the two civilizations, one built on mutual understanding and cooperation rather than subjugation and domination. As the talks progressed, the Galactic Council found itself at a crossroads. They could either continue the war, risking the complete annihilation of their forces, or they could concede defeat and accept the humans as equal partners in shaping the future of the galaxy. The decision was a difficult one, but the realization that the human race had emerged as a formidable force to be reckoned with left the Council with little choice. The outcome of these negotiations would not only determine the fate of Earth, but also have far-reaching consequences for the entire galactic order. The human race, once dismissed and overlooked, now stood on the precipice of a new era, one in which their role and influence would be forever transformed. The Galactic Council, humbled by its defeat at the hands of the human fleet, finally agreed to a ceasefire and entered into negotiations with the human leadership. As the talks progressed, it became increasingly clear that the Council had vastly underestimated the potential of the human race. Protagonist's name, now hailed as a hero among their fellow humans, took a central role in the negotiations, advocating passionately for humanity's rightful place in the galactic community. They argued that the time had come for a new, more equitable relationship between the two civilizations, one built on mutual understanding and cooperation rather than subjugation and domination. The Council, forced to confront its own biases and misjudgments, found itself in a precarious position. They could either continue the war, risking the complete annihilation of their forces, or they could concede defeat and accept the humans as equal partners in shaping the future of the galaxy. After much deliberation, the Council made the difficult decision to forge a historic alliance with the human race. As the negotiations progressed, Protagonist's name and the human leadership worked tirelessly to establish the terms of this newfound partnership. They insisted on the recognition of human sovereignty, the sharing of technological advancements, and the equal representation of humanity within the Galactic Council's decision-making processes. The Council, humbled by its previous arrogance, agreed to these demands, acknowledging that the human race had proven its mettle and deserved a rightful place among the stars. The signing of the historic accord marked the beginning of a new era, one in which the human race would no longer be relegated to the fringes of the galactic community, but would instead play a central role in shaping its future. Protagonist's name, their once reluctant leadership now firmly cemented, stood at the forefront of this momentous occasion. They had come a long way from the young scientist who had once doubted their own abilities, and now they basked in the admiration and respect of their fellow humans, as well as the grudging acknowledgement of the Galactic Council. As the news of the alliance spread throughout the human population, a wave of jubilation and pride swept across the planet. The people of Earth, who had once feared for their survival, now looked to the stars with a renewed sense of optimism and purpose. They knew that their world, once dismissed and underestimated, had now earned a rightful place among the galactic powers, and they were determined to make the most of this historic opportunity. The Galactic Council, for its part, had been forced to confront its own biases and misconceptions. The humans, once seen as primitive and insignificant, had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, their ingenuity and determination transforming them into a vital player in the grand scheme of the cosmos. As the newly formed alliance began to take shape, the human race and the Galactic Council embarked on a journey of mutual exploration, technological exchange, and cultural understanding. The barriers that had once separated the two civilizations were slowly but surely being broken down, paving the way for a future of unprecedented cooperation and shared prosperity. Protagonist's name, now a celebrated figure among both the human and alien populations, took on a prominent role in this new era, using their expertise and diplomatic skills to foster stronger ties between the two worlds. They knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but they were driven by a deep sense of purpose and a firm belief in the potential of the human race to shape the course of the galaxy. The story that had begun with the Galactic Council's underestimation of humanity's strength had now come full circle, ushering in a new era of cooperation, mutual respect, and the blending of diverse cultures and technologies. The human race had risen to the challenge, proving that their hidden power was not to be trifled with, and now they stood poised to take their rightful place among the stars.